All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Dark Horse Series, and we are here at Auto Club Speedway 2 Mile Oval. Drivers putting down their qualifying laps as we speak. And I have back with me here tonight is Mr. Andrew Wood. And Andrew, it's a warm one tonight. It is right now ambient temperature. What do we got? 83 degrees, 129 degrees track temperature. It's not going to be a rim rider one tonight here. These guys are going to have to really try to keep these things happy, keep the tires underneath them, and maybe even some tire management I feel like is going to be in play here tonight.
Yeah, Kyle, very happy to be back with you after a few weeks off there. And apologies in advance that I'm a little bit under the weather, so my voice might sound a little bit cracky. But yeah, I'm happy to be back here at Auto Club with you. This is a track I definitely wish I was on the track rather than commentating in the booth. This is one of my favorite tracks to race on. It's definitely one of those wide tracks that you could take several different lines on, and the toasty weather definitely throws a whole wrench into everything just because you feel like you can take an arc turn into turn 1 and 2 and turn 3 and 4, and that push is something the drivers are going to feel tonight no matter what line they take.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the name of the game tonight is the aero push, the aero wash, and who can kind of manage their car the best, be it track position wise or even just adjustment wise. I mean, we were listening to some drivers pre-race, and they were kind of talking about the front and rear ARB settings, the weight jackers they were doing, and I mean, I was hearing big numbers in practice, and I mean, I was hearing like plus 14 weight jacker, and that was in clean air for one of the drivers. So it tells you that there's going to probably be some pretty big adjustments by these drivers here tonight to try to get these things to basically be where they need to be. And of course, then like we mentioned, probably a lot of adjustment also depending on where you are on track, be it clean air or dirty air.
Yeah, that leads me to believe that this setup is built a slight bit tight. So the drivers are going to have to use extra weight jacker to get the car to turn. But on a big track like this, it's very hard to set up the car super loose where you'll be almost feeling like you're spinning in the corners. So it doesn't surprise me that drivers are using these higher weight jacker settings in order to get the best lap time. That's more probably a qualifying thing. Once you get into the race, it's all about the clean air. No matter what setting you put on the weight jacker or the roll bar, it's not really going to give you a much better line. The clean air is king around here. So I think these guys are probably going to run something a little more conservative during the race just in case they happen to catch a batch of clean air that sends them for a spin or something like that. But yeah, it's also going to be very interesting to see what the strategy for fuel is, because these big tracks, these drivers are going to try and save fuel and make it a certain distance. But perhaps they may try and do something a little bit different depending on how the cautions fall.
Yeah, that's the cautions will be the question mark for sure. And even I feel like this. No, I think these guys. I'm trying to think of the two. Really, it's just Indy and Pocono where you can pit towards the front and get away with still being in the lead. I still think here and Michigan, you still get trapped a lap down. But you're right though. The magic number on fuel going green all the way is going to be about 34 laps, because a 100 lap race, so you want to make sure you can get at least one of those runs to that 34 mark to be able to get to lap 100. There are no green white checkers in the Area 51 Dark Horse Series, so they don't have to worry about any extra fuel. So they can basically calculate, maybe run the race backwards, say I'm pitting as soon as I get into my window, and to get that track position, I should say. So we'll have to wait and see. However, we have qualifying just completing now, and we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight's event. And it is going to be Alan Morera on the pole in that number 21 machine. Right next to him, Eric Peterson, just 100th off. They got Matt Wagner, Gary Laverne, Quabi Brooks making his appearance back into the series. So a good top 5 qualifying. I have a feeling he's going to be a little nervous about qualifying in the top 5, but so we'll see if he's got any rust to shake off there. You got Chris Stouffer. I know he's excited to have you back in the booth because hopefully you'll be that good luck charm. They got Jim Herrick, Nick DeGroot, Eric Schaus, Dan Morera, our top 10 starters. And then from 11th on back, we'll include Yari Brupacher, Andrew McMurray, Raphael Eckert, a new addition to the league as well, but sounds like also a very quick driver. I saw him go to the top of the board in practice, but opted not to qualify tonight. Then you got Jim Brooks, William Swenson, Brad Adams, Taylor Reeves, and Bill Colley. So a little bit smaller field, especially I think smaller than we expected here tonight, based on, of course, just it being Auto Club. But I say it's like I said with the temperatures. I mean, now I'm looking at the track temperature, Andrew, and it's 130 degrees now on track.
Yeah, I must say, I was talking to this during the pre-race. It seems that we have some of the top guys missing tonight. We have Bruno Miranda missing. We have Craig Forsyth's not here. So this might actually be an opportunity for some of these guys sitting in the top five, the bottom part of the top five of the points, in order to make spots back up tonight, as this will be a drop round for those guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. This is a really good opportunity for those because Bruno. I mean, he's won 3 in a row, so he's kind of run away a little bit. And so as it runs after last week's race at Nashville, Nick DeGroot's second, 45 out. Then you got Christopher 62 out, Eric Schaus 81 out, and then Craig Forsyth, who's also not here, 83 out. And honestly, though, the one I feel the most for in that list though is Eric Schaus because he was here, he was ready to race. But unfortunately, with the new build, he just I guess there's some hiccups with VR and just was not able to be able to get into the server and be able to race. So what Matt Wagner was able to do on the admin side of things was basically it was supposed to be a 1 drop week for the course of this 12 race season. Went ahead and added a drop week for a second race for some of those guys because I think there was at least 2 drivers that got cut out by it. So kind of giving them an extra mulligan. So like the gesture there done by Matt to try to make things as fair as possible. So, but yeah, this is definitely an opportunity for Nick and Chris and Eric to try to climb back up that lead that Bruno's got. But again, I'm going to check how's Bruno doing this season because his worst finish is probably not that bad this season. Yeah, right now his worst finish is a 13th at Michigan, followed by an 8th place at Pocono. So it'll currently as it runs this season, that 13th would be the drop week for Bruno.
Yeah, as things translate, that Michigan is also a big track, so perhaps he saw Auto Club and was like, I'm not really sure how this race might go, so he might have wanted to take a night off, just take it as a drop round. But it looks like we're about to go green here in a moment here.
Yep, pace car is off, puts it hands into the hands of Alan Morera, waiting for that green flag to fly. They do initial start on the green flag, and Eric Schaus, again, this is almost like a repeat of last week, so quick through reaction through the gears. He's going to grab a handful of spots now going into turn 1 for the first time. Right now, Eric Peterson has a nose ahead, but Almera is going to have the shorter distance into 1. But these guys have cold tires, still not fully up to speed, so they got to be careful here not to chop each other's noses or get that very dreaded aero tight here entering turn 3.
Yeah, I don't know if that was so much of Eric Schaus being clever rather than the rest of the field just didn't go. It was called green, and it seemed like people counted to 1 before everybody went, but not Eric Schaus, who's already picked up quite a few spots here on the first lap. I believe he's going to have moved up about 2 or 3 spots.
Yeah, so I think he may have dropped a few spots after turn 2. I think I saw him about 4 spots up, and then he's kind of fallen just a tiny bit back. Look at Nick DeGroot, though. He is inches from the wall there on the outside of Gary Laverne, and there was not much room between either of them and the wall, but it looks like they've both able to come through unscathed. Matt Wagner led that first lap here, though, in that 6 machine. So, again, you talk about that fight for clean air. Now Matt's got it. Alan, unfortunately, not able to capitalize that pole on getting a lap lead. And now look at the Christopher. He's now one of our higher climbers, up 4 spots from the initial get-go.
Yeah, Nick DeGroot barely scraped the wall at the exit of turn 4. I think he was really going for it there. He just got right up to the exit of turn 4 on those cold tires and somehow got away with it. But I imagine that these guys need to transition from a get to the front mode to a save fuel mode if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question mark is, where do we see the aggression? Where do we see maybe who's pushing, who's riding? Obviously, we've seen Matt. He wanted to get to the front right away. Third on back, though, like I said, they kind of have that ride look to me, but they're going to have to not ride too much because they're already 6/10 off the back of Matt Wagner, Christopher. And while we were looking at them, Christopher took the point. I'm not sure if he led the lap or not, but now Matt Wagner's going to go back to the inside, and we might start to see that swap draft happen one more time here. And we'll see. Maybe they're going to try to see if they can break away from the field here early on.
Yeah, it looks like Eric Peterson actually kind of messed up a little bit, and as he scrapes the wall in turn 4 there as well. He tried his best to go through the middle line, and I think he went too low and didn't have his weight jacker setting correct, so that allowed both Stouffer and Wagner to pull away. So you got Nick DeGroot in third, over a second behind, and it's going to be difficult to really claw that time back. So if Stouffer and Wagner can swap draft here, they might actually start to pull away from the field a little bit, unless there's a little bit of help.
Yeah, and they are doing the swap draft. You can see Nick has closed by about a 1/10 and a half, 2/10 through the backstretch. And you can see Nick also still kind of committed to the top side. But yeah, right now you can see. Oh, actually, you see here though. I think that's a little miscommunication there. Chris Stouffer jumps to the top of Matt Wagner. I really thought that Chris would want to kind of the way you do the swap drafts. You take the shorter distance around, but in this case, he actually went to the top. And yeah, that last time by Nick DeGroot was the quickest car on track. 33.19 to the leaders 33.40s. So yeah, so it looks like Nick is safe to pull into the top 3, but now it could be a top 3 breakaway. Alan Moreira's fallen about 1.1 seconds off of DeGroot, and that magic number for these cars usually about that 1.5 seconds or so. So he's only a few tenths away. So a great start though by Matt and Chris to break away, and then Nick as well to kind of pounce on that to get right up there.
Yeah, I have to say the 1.3 number that you're referencing is definitely a number you want to consider. However, it's a big track like this. It's much harder to close in because you have the effective aero push happening, the aero wash from the cars up ahead happening at around 1.0, 1.1. So you have to A, fight all the aero wash that's coming off the car, and B, try and take an alternate line that's faster than the leaders who are also trying to swap draft at the same time. So it's a lot more difficult than you think on a track as big as this one. Whereas if you're on a 1.5 mile oval like Vegas or Kentucky or something like that, that number picks up a lot quicker, especially when you're about 1.5 back. So you got a kind of a double whammy here in terms of trying to catch up to the pack up ahead.
So speaking of double whammy, Nick's going to go for that 2-for-1 here to try to go from third to the lead. He's going to get it done. We'll see if he can lead this lap or if that draft's going to pull him back to second or third by the time they get the line. And yeah, I think it's going to be right at the edge, but I believe Matt has the nose ahead once more here. I'm also going to give a shout out to Bruno, as our points leader, coming to tonight, commenting in on YouTube. So hope you're doing well, Bruno. Seeing you on track. Your competitors probably happy to see you not on track, but hope you're doing well and hope you enjoy the race here tonight. As right now, like I said, continues to be these top 3 as we're about to already hit lap number 10 this time around. And it's kind of evened out here, though, Andrew, at about that 1.5, 1.6 second mark.
Yeah, so Stouffer is doing exactly what you're supposed to do in the third place spot. Don't interfere with the 2 guys that are trying to swap draft up ahead, because all you're going to do is lose time for all 3 cars up ahead. So you want to try and hang in there, find some clean air to make sure you're carrying the speed through the corner. Looks like Alan Moreira might be finding a new friend in a different Moreira here, trying to see if there's a swap draft opportunity to get up to these guys. But you have to work together as efficiently as you possibly can. So I think these guys are working together the best way they can, but you also have to realize that these guys, 4th place on back, they cannot save fuel if they're just by themselves. So they're trying to swap draft, but they're also trying to hit that fuel number. But these guys that are back at the bottom part of the top 10 are in the best spot to save fuel as guys up ahead swap draft as over in third.
Yeah, so yeah, Chris right now is in a great fuel save mode. However, though, too, with him dropping back this half a second or so, that's actually brought that window for Dan Moreira, like you mentioned, moving his way back up there. So now, like I said, he's going to feel the effects of the dirty air, but he's also going to start to sniff that draft down the straightaway. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad, but this is definitely an opportunity for Alan, as last time by he was about 2 tenths quicker than the leaders. This time by right about the same, a 45 to a 48 for Matt Wagner. But I do think he's starting to move in the right direction. And then from about Eric Peterson on back, this is where kind of the pack, if you will, is. From Eric Peterson, Gary Laverne, Jim Brooks is up 6 spots from his starting position. All these guys are pretty close together up to Taylor Reeves, who's also doing a little bit of rim riding himself. And then it looks like you got kind of a third group here with Bill Colley, Quabi Brooks, Brad Adams. So yeah, so kind of the field's kind of split up a little bit, but right now though, I think Dan Moreira though is doing the work that we just talked about though. He's starting to creep in within that second mark now of Chris Stouffer.
I think that Jim Brooks and Gary Lovern are the best fuel savers right now, just based on where they are in the field. Just doing their best to stay in the draft, but not really push the tires too much. I think the Chris Stouffer situation, this track is very abrasive on tires when you compare it to a place like Michigan. So you could do your best to stay in the clean air as much as you can, but eventually those tires are going to give out on you, especially if you're just riding the top trying to avoid the swap draft. So I think Stouffer is probably having some difficulty keeping the right front at a good level. He is still kind of keeping tabs on those guys, but the Morera pair behind are definitely doing their best to swap draft and catch up to them, and they're getting very close to that drafting opportunity. But I do think that they're not in any sort of fuel save mode right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really in these top 4 are in fuel save mode, or so top 5, I should say, with Dan as well. I was saying the thing is Eric Peterson really can't be either because he's leading that group behind him. And so, yeah, so you're exactly right. I think you're right. We're the 32 and the 51 probably in a pretty good fuel saving spot. But then we got to keep an eye on this 064 here. He's a new addition to the league. I was talking to Matt Wagner, though, and he mentioned, he's like, yeah, this is going to be someone to watch here. As I'm looking at that paint scheme, that looks awfully familiar to, I'm blanking on the name here. I'm going to go through my list. Edson Santos, I believe it is. Looks very similar to that paint scheme. So maybe a teammate of Edson, who unfortunately also isn't here this evening. But looks like, though, that 64 car, though, is kind of sporting the colors. And I think you got to kind of root for him, right? Because I want to say 64 is one of your normal numbers.
Yeah, I don't like the 0 in front of it, though. It kind of looks tacky to me.
Well,
so.
He probably has to get permission from you to run it first.
He didn't ask me for any, so I'll have to have a chat with him after the race. But it looks like Chris Stouffer actually took the lead here from Matt and Nick.
Yeah,
so Stouffer,
you were right.
Stouffer is not looking to sit any longer. He may feel like he's hit a number where he can go, or he's sick and tired of sitting in the aero wash of everybody up ahead of him. So, as I mentioned before, his right front probably was starting to degrade a little bit, but it looks like he's kind of the more powerful car in this situation as he went around the outside of the group after the group on turn 1 there.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, too, is you don't have to save the entire fuel run. Again, and we talked about that magic number being lap 34, so if he saves enough and that at that point says, hey, even in your worst mileage, your fuel number says you can go to 34, you can crank it back up and start getting aggressive again. So, like I said, we won't have the greatest fuel. Let me see if I can get a good look at it here. That is not the good look I was looking for. And that one, the helmet's blocking it. But basically, though, these cars will show your fuel mileage lap by lap. It'll tell you kind of how many miles per gallon you're getting. And some of the guys who are smarter than me are able to actually do those numbers and say, okay, based on that, I can go this many laps. I use one of the third-party fuel calculators that a lot of great people in iRacing have developed over the years, and I kind of let them do the work for me. And so, yeah, so these guys probably mostly know what they've got in store for them tonight. But, yeah, right now, though, really now you've got that breakaway. Let me look at Matt Wagner now. He's actually fallen back to the Moreras there, Alan and Dan. So he may have pushed too early, too hard, because he's starting to get in risk of losing the leaders and getting swallowed up for 4th and 5th.
I'm starting to be skeptical if there is a fuel. Oh, someone just tagged the wall.
Oh, it was Dan Morera.
Dan Morera, yeah. I'm starting to get skeptical of the fuel save here, and I think it has to do with the hot temperatures on track. I think that a cooler track leads to more pack racing situation where drivers may actually be able to kind of lift a little bit more, but I see the breakaway from everyone. Everyone seems to be, well, besides that Morera incident there, which kind of stacked everyone up right at the bottom part of the top 10 here, it looks like everyone was starting to be about a second, close to a second and a half apart. And I'm watching, very close there for, is that Eckert? That came out of turn 4 there.
We'll jump back live here.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys starting to push out of turn 4 now, and that shows me that people are foot flat to the floor trying to make the corners and trying to catch any sniff of draft they possibly can here. So I don't know if the fuel save is going to work here. We'll have to see if people can make it to lap.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. And as soon as I say it looks like Matt Wagner's falling back, he's still about in the same boat there. But yeah, so now it's kind of a duo, if you will, with Matt and Alan, with Chris and Nick. And then you got to go back to Eric Peterson there. But yeah, right now Raphael's the one, though. He's making the most time here in that 64, now jumping 8 spots here at the moment. And the other thing I'm going to note is he's really the only guy that seems to be maybe not wanting, but able to run the bottom pretty decently. You'll see him doing the swap draft, they'll do it, but then they kind of go right back to the top. So it seems like if you can get your car to work on the bottom, there's something to be said about that. And the other question, what you got?
I was going to say Stouffer just kissed the wall in turn 4 right behind Matt Wagner there. I don't think it did any damage, but yeah, I I copy what you say. It looks like that these guys are really just trying to find the clean air. Clean air is king. But please continue what you were saying.
No, and so yeah, so it seems like these guys, some of the ones that are able to run the bottom are doing pretty well. I think maybe managing their stuff. So, and you're right though, that little hiccup though, that brought Matt and Alan right back into the mix. But now the next question is, like you're talking about, if you can't pull off this lap 33 to 34 window to make it on a two stopper, with as much fall off as we're seeing here, as the best laps of the race were in the low 33s, 32s, these guys now are in the mid upper 33s. Is it at all worth maybe trying to just split this into a three? Oh, Matt Wagner now in the wall. I don't know. I don't think it's worth maybe risk, because you think there's going to be a yellow at this point the way these guys are going. You don't want to get trapped a lap down.
I think that the way these cars are pushing, the turn 4 wall is probably going to grab someone before the turn 2 wall. So we'll have to keep watching that in particular. But I really do think that it's survival at this point. Let's just try our best to find the clean air as best we possibly can. I don't think running the arc line, the white line down in turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is the fastest right now. I think just rim riding in the hot temperatures with a higher weight jacker setting is going to be the key, because you got the guys that are going to be going down to the white line and immediately pushing up the track, especially on the turn 1 and 2 side.
So right now we're watching the fastest car on track though, and that is Rafael Eckert, because 33-31 for him. Everybody else is in the 40s, 50s. Leaders are in the 70s. So yeah, right now he's got something working. He's found a good combination for him in that 64. So yeah, so once again here he ran a 50, whereas everybody in front of him was a 60 or higher. So I say we'll see if he can clear Matt Wagner. It looks like he will. Yep. So move him up now into the 4th spot. I say Matt's going to try to do the crossover here. Maybe try that swap draft, but I don't think it's going to work. We'll see if maybe Matt can learn something from that inside line. Maybe he's going to kind of feel like it frees him up a little bit. And you know what? It kind of looked like he had a better turn running that bottom. So we'll see if he maybe adjusts his line based on what he just saw from Rafael passing him.
I think it's one of those things too that it's very counterintuitive on such a big track like this with 5 lanes, but even a slight blip in the throttle can get the nose pointed inward just where you want it. I'm not trying to give any advice to any drivers out there right now that are trying to find some spots, but I do find that on some of these hot tracks where you just can't get to the bottom and you're trying to keep the momentum going, that is the optimal line. So if you're running by yourself, that might be something to consider, just to set the nose in right on the entry to the corner so you can get to the bottom line and power out of the corner. That might be faster than just trying to ride completely along the top where you can kill that right front tire very easily.
Yes, I do know there's a few rim riders. I was saying I'm kind of watching one of them there. I say the 51 Jim Brooks. He's usually one that enjoys rim riding, running that 3rd lane, or in this case 4th, 5th lane. But yeah, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye. But yeah, like I said, that definitely will start abusing those tires. But like I said, though, I like the line that 64 is running, partially because nobody else is there, but also it seems to be working. We'll see if he does it again here. And like I said, maybe he's just giving a little breathe on entry, and then yeah, again cuts it all the way down to the white here. And even De Groot, our leader, he was still running the 2nd lane. So I think the 64 has definitely got something here. We'll see if anybody else is able to learn from it, or can they even make the same lines he's doing? Because they said he might have an adjustment that just is working so much better for him that the others haven't found yet.
Oh, we have another clip on the wall in turn 4 there. I think that was De Groot.
Yeah, I saw the smoke from. I'm not sure if it was. Well, I was gonna say if it was Alan, but no, Alan's actually moving forward. So yeah, probably De Groot. You're right. And that's the next question: is how many of these guys are just limping a little bit of damage from these little wall kisses? Possibly De Groot, possibly Matt Wagner. We saw Dan Morera earlier. So I mean, I think Dan definitely has got some lingering damage. However, he's still hanging on solidly. And we are also getting pretty close to that magic window. Again, talk about 33, 34. But I think by the time we get to pit stops, though, we're going to have a new leader, and that's going to be that 64 car.
I don't think that these guys are going to make it to 34, Gael. I think that these guys are like 1 or 2 laps away from pitting. I can't see in these hot temperatures how anyone can save fuel, at least at the beginning of the stint only. So we'll have to see if these guys can make it another 2.5 laps or so.
Yeah, I see De Groot. He's falling way back now behind Wagner, and maybe this is that last ditch, like, hey, I got to save as much as I can. And there's that pass relay. It wasn't even before pit stops. It was before they finished the lap. Rafael takes the lead, plus 12
like Nick
positions.
is coming in.
Yep, here comes the De Groot. Is that
That's end of
fuel?
lap
Is that
31.
yeah? So he cannot make it from here to the end. And is that fuel? Is that maybe some damage you mentioned? But he said I gotta come in now. So we'll keep an eye on his pit stop. Make sure he's got a clean entry exit. So now we'll see, can anybody else go? Like I said, I think 2 laps is the magic number. If you can get to 34, you can make it to the end on one more stop at 33 with 33 laps. So we'll see what they got. We'll see. Raphael's low. Nope, he's still going. So good fuel mileage for 64 still.
I'm kind of shocked. I couldn't see it happening, but these guys must be in a super low fuel mix. Looks like we have the 16 that'll be pitting this lap. So it's very close for these guys. It can't be the same from the bottom of the field to the top of the field. These guys have to be pushing as hard as they possibly can. And plus, you have to also realize that they have to do this 3 times. They have to do 34 or 33 laps 3 times. So if people are very unsatisfied with how the race is going in the first stint, they may have to bail on it and hope for a caution that could bring them from the back to the front.
Yeah, and you almost wonder, oh, here comes Matt Wagner. He's going to hit pit road. So he's going to pit coming to 34. Oh, man, that looked a little hot. We'll see if he got slowed down in time.
Very close, yes.
But as I say, all he saw there was those tire barriers, but then he released the brakes so that way he could pull it back to the left. Nick DeGroot had a 10-second pit stop, so kind of a lengthy stop for Nick there. 8.3 for Andrew McMurray, so not sure what the delay was for Nick. Maybe he wasn't quite set in his pit stall as well as he'd want to. But yeah, at this point, everybody should be able to make it on two-star like we talked about. However, I think Christopher, here comes Chris. He's going to jump in as well. This is going to be fun to see also how the undercut works for these guys. Maybe they can break that toe. But yeah, here comes Jim Brooks as well. No, that's not Jim. There he is.
I will mention that Nick DeGroot did blow his pit box, and he had to hit reverse.
So that might be part of that. Yep. Oh, so yeah, that's going to hurt even more, especially under green. So we'll wait and see. Like the first one we'll see how Matt and Nick kind of sort out together. Right now, looks like it's about a 2.
Looks like Stouffer also blew his box just as we speak.
Oh no! So everybody's overshooting that. That's probably just tire wear. Here comes Alan Moreira, Gary Laverne coming in as well. So, man, I gotta say though, right now, class of the field really seems to be that 64. He's got the long run pace and the fuel mileage. Must have really done a great job taking care of his tires early. Brad Adams, Bill Coley, they're in as well. So we're about halfway through the fields making their green flag pit stops. And the only thing I'm going to mention about the fuel, I think Raphael's coming in this time. Looked like he was. No, man, he is still going. 37 laps now. That is great.
Gary Laverne blew his box. Yeah. I can say from experience, this track is very difficult to stop for your box just because the pit speed limit is a lot higher than you have on certain tracks. As you see, Taylor Reeves has also blown his box. It's hard to predict where your pit box is, and you're also going from one surface to another surface when you stop. So it's very easy to lock the brakes up if you're not kind of warming your brakes up trying to stop. So it's a combination of the higher pit speed setting on this track and then going from one surface to another. It's very, very easy on this track to blow through your pit box.
Yeah, and so you can see the color difference. That's, like you said, it's the asphalt versus concrete. So that's going to leave now just Eric Schaus as the last driver to pit. So yeah, Eric went full fuel save, it looks like, on this run. The thing I was going to mention is after pit stops are cycled, the field's going to probably be a fair bit spread out. So this could kind of change that fuel mileage where you could save in that big pack early like you talked about on fresh tires. But now with the field all spread out, you might be 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds back from a guy in front where you can't save any fuel. And that might pull you right back out of that fuel window unless you start going full fuel save on your own and having to slow your race pace down. So Eric Schaus, he's going to come in. That's going to complete our cycle of pit stops here. And it will cycle back to the 64 Raphael Eckert. But it looks like Matt Wagner might be the only driver to stay in this main draft pack. So we'll focus on on Eric here. See if we can maybe watch a driver nail their pit stop, unlike you mentioned, everybody else overshooting it. And well done, Eric. He is up and on the jacks. That's going to happen
without some tire smoke.
Oh yeah, I mean you got to stay aggressive on it. But yeah, so Raf is going to be the one to take over the lead once more. Matt Wagner's going to cycle out in second. And yeah, I mean this is great for Matt though, I think, because they've got now 2.5 seconds between. And look, he's already trying to break the draft. But 2.5 seconds here to these two, Nick DeGroot and Alan Moreira. And then you mentioned Chris Stover. He's another about 1.2 back. So Yeah, the field very, very spread out. The only drivers able to kind of save fuel right now potentially are Matt Wagner and Alan Morera. Everybody else is going to have to kind of be on fuel map 1 most likely. But the caveat for that for me is that Raphael went 37 laps on fuel. Yari went 37. Eric went 38. I'm saying they can go full rich to the end, excuse me. But they're good to go, I think, without any dramas. Matt Wagner only went 33. Alan went 35. Chris 34. They might have to save a little bit potentially over the course of the run, but yeah, we'll have to see that, like, as it runs right now, like I said, we're very spread out now, so this is going to be intriguing to see what adjustments maybe some of these drivers made, who had to take a fast repair also during this pit stop cycle. I mean, there's a lot of things to keep an eye on here.
So I'm sitting here, I'm scratching my head, Gael. I've been gone for 3 weeks. Did they like double the size of the fuel tank or something? Because I have never been able to make it without any help, with just barely going 34 laps at this track. So I'm in shock and awe, and maybe it's just because I've been commentating too much and not driving too much that I don't know how to save fuel around here anymore. But I don't know how anybody at a reduced fuel tank can go 37 laps at this track. So bravo to those guys. I'll have to message some people later and see what the tricks are that I haven't learned in so long. But yeah, I'm at a complete loss, and I can say I was completely wrong in terms of how hard this fuel save was. Apparently, it's rather easy to try and go 34 laps, given these guys went 37. So yeah, I don't know if running by yourself at a super low fuel setting will do the trick. So we'll have to see what happens, especially with guys like Nick DeGrood, who came in very early on the first stop.
Yeah, Nick's going to be one to watch for sure. And I do wonder too, I mean, I feel like I want to say this season a point of emphasis for the league and for Matt was kind of just to try to make sure that we weren't just sitting right on the absolute edge where if you pushed, you'd have to do an extra stop. If you saved, you'd have to or you could take one less stop. I know they try to kind of avoid that kind of riding that seam, if you will. So I'm wondering if maybe there was a slight adjustment where, let's say normally they run 50% fuel. Matt decided, you know what, it's right on the edge. Let's run 55 to 60% just to kind of get out of that potential window. Because unfortunately, I don't know what the tanks hold in these guys. But yeah, and it may have just been everybody had that same strategy from the get-go. Said, hey, let's make sure we make this number. But yeah, so we'll see right now. I'll say actually, while things are kind of calm for the moment, let's run through the field to get a better look at some of our drivers here. And we're going to kick it off with our race leader and highest climber. And we'll get a great look at some of these paint schemes. And right now our leader is Raphael Eckert. He started in 13th up into the lead in that number 64. Right behind him, Matt Wagner in the number 6 machine. Again, kind of that Miller Genuine Draft throwback paint scheme there. Really like the paint scheme there. And so he's running in second from third. Our pole sitter, Alan Morera, he sits in the third spot. I say about 2.5 seconds back. Then you got Nick DeGroot right behind him in fourth, in the number 89, but they are doing that swap draft. You see now sits in third. And then Christopher has found his way back to these guys, so he's in the top 5. He's in the draft with these two, so he'll be able to try to see if he can pull himself back up there as well. Then one of our wonderful sponsors here, the 40 car of the 40 Racewear machine of Jim Herrick. He sits in now 7th, was 6th there. Again, more swap drafting is going to be the theme of the second half of the race, it looks like. Jim Herrick right now in 7th where he started. In front of him is that 32 of Gary Laverne, like you had just mentioned. Right now rolling in the 6th position, and probably in a second will be 7th, as we'll probably see a 40 Racewear car pass him in a moment. And we jump back to 8th with Yari Brupacher in the 49 car, pitted at lap number 37. So was one of the big savers, one of the late pitters. But then Eric Schaus went the furthest of everybody, but at what cost? He is 4 seconds behind Yari Brupacher, sitting in 9th, right where he qualified. But he went to lap 38 on fuel, so we'll see if that does any advantage. Maybe some fresher tires towards the end is enough to pull him forward. And then rounding out our top 10 is the 51 of Jim Brooks, started 14th up into that 10th position. Then again, another 4 or 5 seconds back is Andrew McMurray, and he sits in 11th position, followed by Eric Peterson there in the 36 car running in 12th. Brad Adams in the 76 Rush machine in 13th. And we saw Dan Marrera earlier. He had that pretty solid contact with the outside wall off of 4. Kept it pointed straight, though. Still racing. He is in 14th. 53, Quabi Brooks in the Gulf livery machine is in the 15th spot. Then he got Bill Colley right behind him in 16th, plus 2 from his starting spot. And then right now, last 2, I believe everybody's still on the lead lap as they run. Taylor Reeves in the 34 Coast Guard machine. And then William Swenson in the 69 car is in 18th, and our last car on the lead lap. Those are our racers here tonight. All drivers still on the lead lap. But right now still continues to be that 64. Now catching that traffic, going to catch some dirty air. And we'll see if that changes anything here as we're about to cross the halfway point next time around here.
Yeah, these last 2 guys in the lead lap are getting very close to being caught by the leaders. Looks like they're going about 10 kilometers an hour, about 5 miles an hour slower. So I'm wondering if they picked up some damage, didn't want to use their fast repair, or they're still just trying to learn the temperature of the track and the different lines around the track. Hopefully when these guys get passed by the leaders, they could possibly learn a few lines and stuff. But yeah, it looks like it's very cool to see that we're halfway through the race and everybody has managed to A, be in the race without any retirements, and B, that they've managed to stay on the lead lap here until just about now, almost halfway.
Yeah, make it to halfway, and yep, right there, cross halfway point. So unfortunately, William will be the first car to go a lap down. But yeah, the other thing too is I'm looking at the pit stops again. Everybody pitted from that 31 to 38 window. No pit penalties. Everybody had a clean pit entry, pit exit. There were a few drivers that overshot their pit stalls, but no pit penalties. Nobody had a 30, 40-second pit stop. Everybody was in that 8 to 10-second range. So great job by all the drivers there as well. Just really kind of being on top of their game, because that's where you're going to lose races, if not just track position in general, is just making mistakes getting on and off pit road. So yeah, these guys done a really good job of that. However, that lead up front though, it's kind of growing. Actually, Christopher's now found his way to the front of these guys, and it's actually a really good battle here with Nick DeGroot and Alan Herrera. And oh man, I don't think either of them can say, I don't think Nick could have run any higher on track there. And he is, I mean, I don't think he can really bump draft in these cars, but he's trying to.
Yeah, what's interesting, you're talking about the no pit penalties, and this is definitely when you're going through your checklist in practice sessions and in warm-up, trying to get yourself all sort of ready for the race, you want to try and find the spot on track where you could brake for the pits at the most seamless and efficient time. I bet nobody thought for this track, either they forgot or they didn't actually do it. They tried to stop for their actual pit box, so that led to those blowing through the pit box penalties. So I'm sure everybody practiced their pit in and then just kind of towed back to their pit box, but I'm sure that those handful of folks that blew through their pit box are not going to do it a second time. So we'll have to see what happens. Or the people that actually did it successfully may have an error next time around.
Yeah, I might get a little greedy, say, all right, I nailed it this time, let's get a little more, and it doesn't quite work out that way. But no, you're exactly right, and you're right though too. And the other thing is, a lot of times when you practice those green flag pit stops in practice session, you probably don't have 30, 40 laps on your tires. So there's also that grip difference of, like you mentioned. I mean, these guys, I'm guessing these guys down to I would guess at least the 50% wear mark, especially that right front. So it's gonna be fun to see. Like I said, the strategy will be intriguing as well, because again, we've got about a 4 lap difference. Ooh, Matt Wagner cannot quite clear. That's going to really hurt his momentum here out of 2. Couldn't quite clear Taylor Reeves there. And Taylor's getting the draft now off of that 64. So that was one Matt would love to have back there, because now he's got to try to do it all over again. And he was only a couple tenths back. Now he's half a second behind. And now you can see also Taylor's going to try to hold on to that draft. So this is definitely going to be a bit of a frustration mark for Matt here. He's going to have to probably be a little aggressive here trying to make this pass. And you can see he's going to try to run that middle seam here. That way he can not be in the dirty air of that 64, but again, can't quite clear. And yeah, you can see he's trying to stay as tight as he can to the 34 without risking any contact, but it'll take him looks like about 2 laps, and now he'll clear. But it was about 3 tenths when it started. Now he's down over 6 tenths now behind.
Yeah, my only comment on that one is, as a lapped car, your first instinct is to be generous to the lead lap cars and say, oh, I'll stay high. But unfortunately, on a hot track like this, the high line is the line that you prefer. So it's one of those things where, as a lead lap car and you're lapping someone, you're hoping that if you throw it up the inside of turn 1 or turn 3, that the car you're lapping will just kind of stay back a little bit and allow you to kind of push up the track and keep going. But yeah, it's a general oval centric courtesy thing. They all just say hi and let you go. But the optimal line, especially when the tires start to wear, is not to arc the car. So if you're going to do that, you got to kind of take two to tango almost. So unfortunately, Taylor really didn't give Matt a lot of respect there as another driver, trying to allow him to keep up fighting with the leader of the race there. So I could see the frustration in Matt, especially when he eventually got by there, saying, "Listen, I need to get by now. I tried a couple times. Can you help me out a little bit?" So
Yeah, no, I would say, and like you said too, like you're talking about the normal kind of oval etiquette. I mean, I don't know. I feel like some of these guys are a little. Oh, actually, Eric Schaus is on pit road. He did make a mention to me pre-race. If he has any unscheduled pit stops, that might be dad duties taking over, because this is outside the pit window. So, and yeah, he's stopping way short here. So I think he is doing some dad stuff. I have a feeling in that 72 as he's taking a tow. So I'm guessing that means their newborn daughter probably has woken up from her what was supposed to be bedtime, but it's also brought Eric Peterson in. And again, this is still too early. Eric cannot make it to the end. Wondering if maybe some damage or anything like that, but unfortunately, like I said, Eric can't make it to the end, and either a pit road speeding penalty here or a lengthy damage repair stop. We'll see. But right now, it's kind of gone past both those, so I'm thinking that's a speeding on pit road for Eric. So Eric, unfortunately, having troubles there with about 42 to go.
didn't we see Eric Peterson pit early at Nashville last week as well?
That's a good question. I cannot recall.
I seem to recall from last week he did. Oh, actually, I just took a look back. If you want to take a look, he did hit the wall out of turn 4 right as he was coming in. So he probably had a little too much damage and decided it was too much.
Just to jump in, yeah. Let's see. We'll see if we can jump back to that Eric Peterson's pit road. Okay, so there's the pit entry. Let's go back a little further. Yeah, this almost is identical to what we saw out of Dan Morera, except this time Eric said, "You know what? I'm just gonna use this as my pit stop here, and I'm just gonna come right in."
He came in at almost triple the the pit road speed limit.
Just a little bit of a pit speed penalty, but that's unfortunate for Eric there. But again, there's still just over half just under, I should say, half the race to go. So they just crossed 39 to go in this one. So a lot of racing to go. But that said, though, I mean, right now, shout out to Matt and Raphael, because they've extended that lead here. It's not like, and it's not for lack of effort behind with Alan, Chris, and Nick, but they're up to 6 seconds now over that third spot. So they've kind of snuck away from the field here.
We also have to keep a close eye on Nick DeGroot pit on lap 32. And will he go 32 again? Will he go 33, 34? So that'll be the bellwether. Yeah, that'll be the bellwether of how far these guys can go on this spread out strategy. So we're getting to the end of lap 63 right now. We'll have to keep a close eye on Nick to see when he's going to do his next pit stop.
Yeah, I think Nick probably will be one of the early pitters, though, for sure. And I think also you can see he's been these last handful of laps, he's been behind Alan and Chris. So I feel like that's, again, probably a fuel-safe strategy. I think I just saw Taylor Reeves have a little bit of dust flying there for him. I say we got a message here in the chat from Leandro Silva rooting for Mr. Eckert as he again fights side by side for the lead with Matt Wagner. And I mean, these guys are doing a great job. And I also love to see everybody hop in and supporting their friends and family and everything like that. So yeah, right now, like I say Raphael, his first race with the league, obviously very familiar with these Indy cars though. And Matt kind of insinuated that too. He's like, guess who's gonna be racing? And I said, I'm not very familiar with a lot of the open wheel guys, but I have a feeling like a Nick DeGroot and some of those guys are like, oh, we're gonna have a fight on our hands with him joining the race tonight. Ooh,
it's
Matt
very
got tied
interesting.
up too.
All right, looks like we're on lap 65 now. So what are we doing, Nick? Are we gonna stay out some more, or are we gonna come in?
I say he's got to go to 33 to go. I think he's got to go at least 2 more laps.
Yeah, he stays out another one, so now he's completed 33. In his state now, it's quite possible he's going to make it to the end, but I think the 16's coming in. He'll be the first one to blink here.
Yeah, Andrew McMurray, he did pit. You're right at 32, so we'll watch him. And yep, right on cue, like you said. So he's pitting at 35 to go. He's going to be short, and looks like a pretty good aggressive entry. I don't think he would have sped on that one. Hopefully, did not. Like I said, like I said, he had the one big speeding penalty, but that was a different circumstance there.
Here comes Nick.
Yeah. Up, Nick DeGroot is in, like you said, coming to 34 to go. So he went 30. That was 34 laps then. Oh, that.
Yeah, that looked like
a stab of the brake.
That was. I don't know if he made it or not. We'll have to see.
That may have been an oh crap extra stab, saying I'm not going as slow as I thought I was. But look what's happened though. We missed something because Matt is just got completely dropped here, and now he's going to hit pit road coming to 33 to go. But he was right there with Raphael for that entire run. But something at the very end, maybe he caught the wall or something got tight. But he lost a ton of time. So Jim Herrick also coming in. I'm watching Nick DeGroot, and this is a long stop. He did not get slowed down in time. So unfortunately, Nick is going to drop down the running order. It's going to be pretty much a cost him a full lap here. But Matt Wagner is in his pit box. Jim Herrick's on pit road. Jim Brooks on pit road.
I went back and checked out Matt, and he caught the wall off turn 2 on lap 67. So he initially went a little bit high in turn 4, and that's how he lost a little bit of the draft to Raphael. But then he was trying to push way too hard to catch back up into the draft, and he caught the wall right on his end lap.
Yeah, so here comes Christopher now. He's next onto pit road. So again, at this point now, I'm saying window open. We're 32 to go. I feel pretty confident for Chris here. I think Matt's right there as well, pitting at lap 67. Let's say it might be a little tight, but I think he'll be okay. But I think the biggest thing for him
blew his box. Yep.
Yeah, another overshooter. And that's just, yeah, like I said, it's these tires they're not happy. Gary Laverne, he is gonna jump in. Man, these guys make me nervous how they keep it straight until the last second, then they crank it left.
Yeah, that's definitely something about this track. It's a little hack in in trying to find the extra speed.
Oh, and to pour salt in the wound, also too fast on entry for Jim Brooks as well. So other than overshooting stall, also got in too hot. So he's going to, same thing, another 48-second pit stop. So it's just exactly like you said, Andrew. These guys might try to get a little more the next time around, and unfortunately, it's starting to bite them. Alan Moreira, he's now in pit road. Quabi Brooks also on pit road. So Raphael's, he's decided he's going to still keep this thing going long. I see, who's that sneaking in behind there? Taylor Reeves on pit road. So we've got a good chunk of drivers hitting in. And again, the last two previously were Raphael and Yari, so they can still go a little bit more. I gotta say though, we'll see how it cycles through. But Dan Moreira's had actually, here he comes. He's gonna come in here, coming to 29 to go. I think this is him not wanting to stay out too long on his older tires.
Yeah, I gotta say, I hope there's no pit crew standing in these pit boxes as everyone kind of drives down the down the left side of the pit lane. It's a little bit dangerous, but yeah, it looks like Yari's in now. Dan Moreira's about to make his stop, so I'm kind of keeping my eye on these blowing the pit box penalties now that I'm very interested. This is probably the most intriguing part of the race right now. So hopefully these guys can get it stopped. I'm not going to commentate, curse anyone, and let's get it going here. Let's get these stops going, boys.
Yeah, Raphael's already down and away, and I can mention his stop was about half a second quicker, 8.98 to 9.6 to Matt Wagner. So again, that's probably from that fuel saving. He was able to put a little less fuel in to make it to the end. So we're going to look out the rear wing of this car, because that car in the background you see, that is Matt Wagner. So this is the battle for the lead of the race. So right now, I think job number one for Matt is to catch the draft. He's done that, so now he's in the thick of it here. So now these two will, pending, of course, a caution, it looks like it could be these two duking it out for the win. Matt's going to have slightly warmer tires, so it's going to take probably another half lap, I'd say, for Raphael to get those tires fully up to temp. And then, of course, the other question, though, is we saw Matt touch the wall a little earlier on the first stint. If he had to take a fast repair then and then had that second contact, that means he didn't have a fast repair for this time. So we'll have to see also, is that 6 fully healthy, or does he have some damage to be kind of lingering around here? So we'll keep an eye on their lap times. We'll jump back, though, to Alan Moreira and Christopher. They're having a good battle here for third. But again, 7.5 seconds off those guys up in front. Then he got another 4 seconds back. Another good little battle here for fifth and sixth. Gary Laverne and Jim Herrick. And Yari Brubacher just outside the picture, but I think he might be able to grab up to these guys. But then it really spread out now, Andrew. You got Andrew McMurray here. He is in 8th, but he's over 12 seconds behind Yari. And now you can see from Bill Colley back, all of these drivers are trapped a lap down. So right now the last 2 cars on lead lap are that 76 of Brad Adams, the 53 of Quabi Brooks, are right now the last remaining drivers on the lead lap. And Matt hasn't really gotten up to Raphael like he did last time, so I'm wondering that you mentioned that wall contact off of 2 before he pitted. Is that maybe still a thing, or is he maybe just trying to bring his tires in a little nicer this time to make sure they're ready for later?
I have the opposite take as you there, Gael. Looks like Matt's corner speed and straightaway speed is much higher than Raphael's on the last couple laps here. Matt's last lap was a 33.1 and Raphael's was a 33.3. So he is closing little by little. He needs to get right up there real close because there's 3 lapped cars up the road that Raphael's going to have to navigate around. So this is a good opportunity for Matt to take a spot back.
Yeah, it looks like that is the 76 car, the 76, the 53, and is that Dan Marrera as well? It is. So, and these 3 are also in the lead lap and saying this is a battle for the top 10. Dan's 9th, Brad is 10th, and Quabi 11th. So these are battles for position. Like I said, knowing my brother in the 53 car, I have a feeling he's going to kind of do what you talked about. He's going to wind up, once they get to him, he'll roll out of it, let them go. Because, like I said, it's his first race back. He's definitely not going to want to rock the boat. We were kind of joking pre-race too. We were trying to figure out buttons and talking about like, oh yeah, I got to program buttons, like even like which is the shifting button and stuff like. It's like, well, no, we know that one, but otherwise,
sounds like a rookie to me.
Yeah, it's been a while. He's been a little rusty, but I'd say give him a few more races and he'll definitely get a lot more comfortable. And also, again, I mean, he runs in VR, so kind of the insider info. So that's a whole different animal. You don't see the buttons you're pressing. You kind of just have to know them. So he's going to have to program buttons and then kind of just try to relearn them and kind of just get that in your head. Okay, this one is this one is this. But yeah, you can see, though, I think both cars trying to struggle in the dirty air because, like I said, it's not just one car now. You got 3 cars in front of you that you're trying to fight the dirty air on. I think right now it's hurting Matt more than anybody. Yeah,
the last couple laps, Matt has managed to run the exact same line as Raphael. I don't know if that's by accident or just by bad luck, but he has not found clean air, which has slowed him down in the corners a lot. And all it's done is put Raphael right in the draft range of the lapped cars. So that's allowed Raphael to pull away a little bit. And frankly, Matt's at a point now where he's just gonna be stuck once he gets by these lap cars. So I don't know what Matt can do at this point. Raphael seems to be navigating the traffic a little bit better. I don't know if he's doing that little lifting trick that I was mentioning before, and he's kind of putting his nose in a better spot. But I think once these guys clear this lap traffic, Matt's going to be all by himself, and that'll put him in the clutches of
we got trouble.
back here.
Oh my goodness, that could be a yellow. We'll have to wait and see. I believe that was that Andrew McMurray?
McMurray, yes. Looks like he towed.
Yeah, he has. Let's go back. We're going to focus on Andrew because he did take a quick tow. So that actually kept the caution from coming out. And actually, you already see the damage. You see that right front flop. And so let's go back a little further here.
Yeah, it looks like he had a technical malfunction there. Is my best guess.
Yeah, the car just did not turn on. Yeah, that's a screen froze or something there. And yeah, I think he just has no idea what's happening where on track. And you see him kind of blink a few times. And then I think everything comes back and he's able to kind of hit escape and bail out. But man, there were about 10 drivers at least that were like, why did that not bring out that yellow? We wanted that caution so bad. But yeah, you mentioned though Raphael Eckert though, 2 seconds now over Matt Wagner.
I just went back to watch it, Gael, and Matt, like, Andrew McMurray's car slid right up into Matt's path. So that kind of doubled Matt's issue there of already losing the leader. Now he's had to kind of lift off the throttle, and he still hasn't gotten by Quabi Brooks yet. So Raphael's going to drive off into the sunset here unless something else happens. Yeah,
it does look like he did get by the 53, but now the problem is he's got Dan and Brad, and I'm saying they're right up in front of him, and they're line to stern. So Really,
Yes.
Matt's only help right now let's say Dan Marrera looked like he was actually going to try to get his lap back the old-fashioned way there, and then again, of course, also laps ticking off very quickly here, down to 18 to go now. Andrew McMurray, after taking his toe, he's just now rolling back out of pit road, so hopefully whatever that issue was is able to be resolved. But we still do have a few battles around on track here. Like I said, Alan and Chris here, they're still right together. And then you've got Gary and Jim Herrick. They're right together. Yari, like we talked about, Yari's joined the battle there as well. And then, yeah, I mean, Dan Marrera, Brad Adams, I'll say this is, like I said, battle for the Lucky Dog. Because if we do get that late yellow, I mean, right now, Dan's the one that's going to benefit, get back on the lead lap. But just also shows the blistering pace of Raphael here. Like I said, started in 13th, got to the lead right around the first pit stop cycle, and he's now lapped all the way up to the 7th position. Or, sorry, 8th position.
Yeah, there was just a close moment with Bill Colley and Jim Brooks there off turn 2. Bill almost clapped the wall down, and Jim did not expect it and had to take evasive action there. So you're right that at any moment, someone could push up too high, collect a car, and next thing you know, we have a restart, and everything could be changed. I imagine that everybody would come down pit road and get fresh tires in that aspect. But there will be those couple people who decide, hey, I'm going to stay out here and try and champion the front of the field here, because as we've seen, it's not very easy to get by here. So if you're running that like 7th, 8th spot, you may want to gamble and stay out front if a caution comes out.
And I mean, and the other strategy too is for those that are trapped a lap down right now. Like I said, you've got 8th through 14th trapped a lap down. You know more than likely all the leaders will pit. You stay out, get the wave around back on the lead lap, and hope for another quick yellow.
Raphael just smacked the wall out of turn 2 also from the lead.
Matt did too, actually. Let's go back, because I think both these drivers had a moment there off of 2. Let's go back, and yeah, you're right. So I think Matt's was unfortunately worse, but watch it at speed. Yeah, pretty good kiss for him. But then watch the background here. Watch Matt Wagner. Again, I think trying to get everything back, and oh, that's a solid hit there. And almost the same as we saw with the, I think Quabi hit it too. These guys the handling is going away on these cars, and it's our leaders too.
Must be Santa Ana wind season down here in Southern California, Guile.
I mean, the wind is 12 miles an hour, it looks like. So, I mean, there's definitely some wind. Maybe it did pick up from earlier. And the thing is, like, with Raphael hitting the wall, he's in clean air, so it's not like he's got dirty air from a car in front of him. But, yeah, Matt definitely hit it significantly harder. His last lap was a 34.7 compared to the mid-33s for the guys in front. This time around, 34.12. So that car's ailing. He's going to have to now just try to limp this thing back home to hang on to a podium, because he's over half a second slower than Christopher that last time by. So
he did back it down to a 3 the following lap. So
another car off the wall there, I think.
Oh, yep.
Oh man, everybody's catching the wall now. I think I just saw Bill Colley catch it too, and it's off of turn 2. I almost want to say, let me see. I want to say we have a turn 2 exit camera. We're going to focus on turn 2 right now. We'll do a TV view. And, there's one. Nick DeGroot is just rubbing the wall there. I'm going to hang on to this camera for a moment, because look at these guys. They are definitely, this is the trouble spot right now. These guys are all struggling right now out of turn number 2. Let's say we're coming down to 11 to go. Oh, Jim Brooks is right on the back of, I believe that was that Alan Marrera he's following, I think, at the moment. But man, yeah, these guys are turn 2, man. That's the spot right now.
How close these cars are getting. Like, you're right, it's clean air. It's not even like you're pushing up behind a car. It's the wind must be different, because here comes a couple more. They're all
wide. So. Oh man.
Yeah, I'm used to, from my experience, turn 4 always gets me at this track. I almost never have a problem with turn 2. So this is definitely a very interesting. The wind must be completely shifted from what I'm used to with driving at this track. So these guys are wow. They're not even really battling each other, and they're pushing it to the absolute limit to try and catch the car ahead. So this is good stuff here, Guile.
Yeah, this is really, really, again, and like I said, it can be any point, but the thing is, there's at some point, again, oh man, Raphael is tight. I think that car is about to use this stuff up, and eventually someone's going to hit that wall hard enough where that car is just going to kind of ricochet off, and they may not be able to catch it like we've seen Dan Marrera do, like we've seen Matt Wagner do. And if they catch it overcorrect that's going to bring the yellow out. But again, there's going to be a point in this race, which I think would be about three or four to go, where at that point there would not be a restart in this race. So there are no green white checkers here, so that is something also always to keep in mind. But and again, I'm watching lap times. Matt's gotten into the low 34s, but again, I think he's still struggling as well in that number 6. I think that car is limping in. Yeah, these guys are all just shoving right out to the exit of turn 4 here. And I'm watching Chris here. He's trying to break the draft of Alan Morera. He does not want to give him a chance because Chris wants to hang on to that podium spot as we're down to 8 to go.
Yeah, and like we mentioned before, it's much harder to pass and get a clean line anywhere once the tires wear. So I think Stouffer could kind of rest pretty easy at this point as long as he keeps driving the line he's driving. I think he'll have a solid podium as long as he keeps it off that turn 2 wall there. That seems to be everyone's problem right now.
Yeah, right behind. Look how Morera that is. Oh, I think he kissed it as well there. The camera kind of turned right as he was right there, but I think Alan had a little bit, maybe just a little kiss of the wall too. So these guys aren't going for a Sunday afternoon drive anymore. Like we saw too, following Raphael, and I think that's why he's fallen back. Dan Morera, I think he got in that dirty air too and just got a little too high on exit. And man, yeah, these guys are every lap are flirting with it. But there he is, Alan Morera. He's right back to him, so he's not able to break that toe. So this is by far the closest battle on track right now, and it's for the final podium spot. So they're both going to go after it here. Right now, everybody else is separated within about 2, 3, 4 plus seconds. There's a few cars closer that are not on the same lap. But yeah, this is definitely the closest battle on track right now we have for position.
Just looking, I think this, if things all stay as they are right now, I think Gary Lovern is going to get his best finish in Area 51, sitting P5 right now.
Yeah, and that's going to feel good too. Not just for the top 5 in his best finish, but at a race where he has had to work. Like these guys are going to be tired tonight because there were no breaks, no cautions. Obviously, could get a late one still, but they've had to do 2 green flag pit stops and just be near picture perfect all race long. Yeah, this has been impressive as we're down to 5 to go. But I say you see right there the 53 just completely rolling out of it, knowing that these guys are battling as we're getting towards the end of that race. Does not want to get involved in their battle here. Again, you see Chris Stouffer just trying to break that draft and avoid Alan stealing that podium from him. But yeah, great fight here as Lear just crossed for 4 to go.
Let's also just keep one quick thing in mind here, Gael, that these guys are still saving fuel from the last stop. So if they were able to do it twice, you could assume that they'd make it to the end. But what if these guys, as we see them going up to the turn 2 wall, are still struggling with hitting a fuel number? You still have to finish the race, and you still have to cross the line. Now, granted, these cars are spread out quite a bit. So if you're sputtering coming out of turn 4, if you're Raphael, for example, I don't think there's any doubt that you would cross the finish line first. But the Stouffer-Morera battle, even the Yari and Jim Herrick battle, what if they sputter out of turn 4 and they can't make it to the end? So we'll have to keep a very close eye for any cars at the very end here that may not make it.
Yeah, and Matt Wagner, he pitted at 67, Stouffer 68. I feel pretty safe for Raphael unless he underfueled this car because he pitted at 71, so I feel like he should be in a good spot. And that's the other thing, too, is you don't have to fill these tanks up to the top. These guys can try to play with their numbers a little bit and say, you know what, I want to save a little bit of time on pit road as we're 2 to go here. And yeah, maybe they take a half a gallon or whatever out, and that could be the difference of them making it or not, depending on how hard they're racing. But man, Chris Stouffer's tantalizingly close now to Matt Wagner. He's got it down to about 2 seconds. And again, if Matt's got to back his pace down, it could be even closer at the very end. So right now, like I said, at this point, I'll say caution. The race finishes as it finishes, but coming out of 4 here, Raphael's gonna take the white flag here. We will go flag to flag here, caution free at Auto Club. Now he's just got to run 4 more laps, no mistakes. Make sure he's good on fuel, and we will have a first-time starter, first-time winner here in the Area 51 Dark Horse Series.
I think you meant 4 corners. I hope you didn't say 4 laps.
I meant 4 corners. Oh, Chris Stouffer, though, I think he's out.
Oh, wow.
That car's silent. So
Yep.
there's the first one to run out of fuel here, Christopher. So, but Raphael's going to come out of 4. He's going to get the win. Nick DeGroot's sputtering. He just comes across the line here. We're watching Matt Wagner. Looks like Matt's got the field to make it to the end. He is going to hold on to third. Then we're going to come home fourth. Alan Murray right there, though, only just under 2 seconds behind him. And then here comes Gary Laverne, going to improve that fourth spot to a fifth. Yari Brubacher next across the line will bring it home in the top 5. Then you got Jim Herrick sixth. And then Christopher still trying to limp this car back to pits just to rub salt in the wound. There goes our leader around him. I think Chris might get a little bit of love here from, I believe that is Dan Marrero. Actually, the 64 here stopped. So I think he wants to make sure he doesn't pass him before he can finish. Some good sportsmanship being done here by these guys. And yeah, here comes our race winner. He's going to hop in behind.
Goodness. I don't know if I would like that if I was Christopher. Just having the leader come around.
Well, I mean, as long as he finishes, right? So unfortunately, though, Chris is going to fall from pretty much a guaranteed third to looks like 7th position. And he's going to seamlessly go from the push to some burnout. So he had plenty of fuel to the end. No dramas here for our race winner in that number 64 of Raphael Eckert. And I don't know, maybe this was the Andrew Wood, I'll say the luck of the number here. Like I said, he's got the 0 in front of it, but maybe that 0 in front of that 64, I say that's the number to be here at Auto Club tonight.
I wonder if he wanted the 64 and realized that there 64 was taken by someone else in the league, just in case I feel like putting myself back in the car again. But no, that was almost a masterclass to me. Just somehow able to drive from 13th all the way to lead, and then kind of pull a lead and nail all of his pit stops, and somehow show everyone that it's possible.
Yeah, very, very impressive drive. Like you said, gained 12 spots, highest climber by far. We did have some other really good high climbers, though. Yari Brubacher jumped 6 spots to the top 5, 7 spots for Brad Adams into the top 10 and 9th. Also 7 spots for Bill Colley up to 11. So great job by those guys. So before we get to our interviews, though, let's go ahead and pull up our final results for tonight's event. And it will be Raphael Eckert getting the win by 10 seconds over Matt Wagner, who was able to hang on after some of the, well, I'm going to take that ticker away because that's showing Matt being 3 laps down. That's not accurate. 10 seconds over Matt Wagner. Alan Marrero going to bring it home in third. So we got a Brazilian 1 and 3 tonight. Then Gary Laverne, Yari Brubacher rounding out our top 5. Jim Herrick, the last car on the lead lap in 6th position. So 6 lead lap finishers here tonight. Then unfortunately, Christopher, technically lead lap finish, but iRacing, the way they score it, he will still at least grab 7 spots. So not what he was hoping for, but still a great result in that top 10. They're did the best of those who were in the points hunt to try to gain some stuff on Bruno. Then you got Dan Marrero, Brad Adams, Quabi Brooks bringing home a top 10. Then Bill Colley, Taylor Reeves, William Swenson, Nick DeGroot, unfortunately, some mistakes and penalties there at the end. Same goes for Jim Brooks. And then a close call for Andrew McMurray, able to somehow not bring that caution out. That was a scary spot there. And then, unfortunately, lap with 44 to go, it was not a good night for the Erics. Schaus and Peterson there. Peterson 17th, Schaus 18th. Like I said, I think Schaus probably dad duty there, so can't really fault him for that one. But had great fuel mileage. Just wasn't able to go all the way to the end. So with that, we got to hunt down some drivers here. Let's see if there is an Alan Marrero hiding around here somewhere. Not yet. I don't know if Alan does interviews. I was saying, because like I said, with the international flavor we have, some of these guys unfortunately don't feel the most confident in doing the interviews. So we'll try to still get Alan, but we're going to jump over instead to our runner-up. That is going to be Mr. Matt Wagner. All right, so Andrew, let's pull Matt on in here. Started in third, finishes in second. And the question I think of tonight was, obviously, I mean, turn 2 was the second half of the race. That was the story of the night, with how just everybody was just either flirting with the wall or catching the wall. But it seemed like you definitely had some difficulties out of turn 2 after your second pit stop. We saw the contact before your pit stop. Did you have to use your fast repair on the first stop? And did you just have to kind of limp with the damage to the end? Because it just didn't seem like you had kind of the closing rate on Raphael that you did after the first set of pit stops. So that was what I was intrigued about mainly.
No, I didn't need a fast prepare for that, but uh, I was a little bit more worried on fuel. So I'm not sure if you guys caught. There was an instance on the part of the track that I think it was Andrew McMurray.
Oh, nothing
Uh,
happened.
yeah, nothing happened. I slowed down like a lot, and then I totally lost the draft, and I said, "Well, that really killed my fuel because I was very short, and I ran out probably when I entered turn one on the cooldown lap. It was a tough race. The hot track conditions made everybody uh, drive a little bit more conservative and bring out the best drivers in them. And the pit stops were excellent tonight. Thank God for once I didn't go past my stall. I can't think of anything else.
So what was your strategy for the start of the race? Did you feel like you had to lead? Did you feel like you wanted to kind of hang out and save fuel? What was your take from the drop of the green flag? What was your strategy? Did you expect cautions? Did you want to just blow all the fuel and race how it was, or did you feel like you wanted to save fuel from the beginning?
So I really thought that leading the race would be the number one kicker. Stay out all that dirty air. You want the clean air. You want the nose to the front of the car clean. You don't want to get in anybody else's mess. Mistakes or anything like that. But fuel wise, I was a little bit worried. I dropped back a little bit toward the end of the first stint, and I was just saving a little bit extra fuel just to be safe. And thank God I did. And as you can see, the results said I barely crossed the line.
No, you did a really, really good job. You talked to me pre-race. You're like, I was like, I just added a new driver, and I could tell by the tone of your
Do I
voice that
regret it?
he was
Probably.
gonna be. I could just tell that he was gonna be good,
He's
and
good. He is a good driver.
he definitely showed it tonight. Is that one now where you're like, oh, why did I bring this guy in over here?
Nah, I'm not worried about it. People want to have fun, want to race. I'm just an admin here, guy. There's two things. One, I love to see people, first time winners. That's kind of like my thing. You know this. And two, I rather everybody have a good race, and I wouldn't care less about myself. And just I care about these guys more, and that's 100% by me.
Well, it was an exciting one. Since since it's your fault you brought him over, we're gonna bring in our race winner over here.
Oh no!
So you got to be part of the interview process just to rub even more salt in your wound. That is gonna
Thanks.
be. Well, we got multiple questions for Raphael tonight because say we know normally Andrew's is 64. We got Raphael in the 064. Was that because the 64 wasn't open, Raphael, or is 64 or sorry is 064 maybe the normal number for you in your racing?
Hello, I normally use the number 64 in Brazilian leagues. Unfortunately, it has been taken before me. But yeah, very, very happy with the race today. I love hot tracks condition because I can manage the tires very well. That made the difference today. Yeah, starting from back, but trying to save a bit of fuel and pit later and save tires. Work really hard today. I think I racing updates this track and no more pack races here.
No, and yeah, I say saving tires and going along on fuel. I mean, you did better than pretty much everybody on fuel. It was obvious you were really good on tires. And I say, and the fun part is if I say I've got the guy just to talk to if you're interested in switching from that 0 to doing just the 64, because my partner in crime up here in the booth, Andrew Wood, when he races he is normally the 64. So you can work out a barter with him. Maybe you guys can trade off when he's not racing. You can be that number. But yeah, that was. I mean, a hell of a job tonight. Like I said, the fuel mileage, the tire saving. I mean, I don't know about you, Andrew, but like it seemed like he had pretty much everything covered tonight once he got to the front.
Yeah, Raphael, it was very impressive to see how you were able to kind of come through the field when it seemed like a lot of people were struggling with the tighter conditions and everything like that. So, did you feel that you were able to just kind of run the normal arc line, or did you feel like you had to run high a little bit? And how difficult was it to save fuel during the entire first, second, and third stint of the race?
That was very easy for me. I got the inside line for most of the race. When you jet under steer condition like that, you need to make the shortest distance in the turns. Uh, Most of people want to run outside because we'll turn less the steer wheel, but running longest line will make the steer wheel turn for more time and struggling really hard at the turn exit. Very happy for last. Thank you for my team partnership, Linear Energy, and the Turner Martins. And thank you for Edson Santos. Unfortunately, he missed the race today, but next race he will back.
Definitely good to hear that Edson Lee back. Say I saw the Paints game and I was like, this looks familiar. And yeah, say it was say that's what it was. So we were at least right about the Edson one.
Yep.
But yeah, just amazing job tonight, Raphael. Like I said, you mentioned you like the hot races, hot tracks, and it definitely showed tonight. Like you said, able to take care of all your equipment until it was time to really kind of put it to use. So really, really good job. I was saying you're already apparently a professional interviewee. You already thanked all your sponsors and teammates and everything. So, yeah, I say glad to have you with the league. I say you're going to be making some nervous drivers the rest of the season, hopefully. All right, so that is our race winner, Rafael Eckert. So unfortunately, we didn't get to have an interview with Alan Morera. Definitely, though, do not want to kind of short him. Just let's say we'll get a good look at that lovely paint scheme on that number 21 machine. But let's say we want to still be able to get a couple interviews in, Matt. And unfortunately, we're going to have to do a heartbreak interview, and that's going to be
Oh
somebody who's
no,
just a
you're not.
little shallow on fuel. And
Oh,
so,
you're
yeah.
not.
Well, I said we chatted. We got it. We got it pre approved. So we're gonna pull Mr. Christopher in because I mean, you didn't see the battle. He and Alan were going tooth and nail, and it was a really exciting battle to watch. But unfortunately, Chris, was it just were you too focused on the battle with Alan to then just kind of catch the field number at the end? Or I mean, take us through it. Was it going to be a short on field no matter what there at the end?
No, I screwed up. Actually, I screwed up when I pit, and iRacing has a calculator there, and I didn't fill it up all the way, and it was just a lap short, and I ended up just a lap short out there on the track. But yeah, that was a great battle with Alan. I hats off to him for racing me clean, and it was tight and very intense the whole time.
Yeah, that was a really fun fight between the two of you. I mean, we saw you guys trying to break the draft and doing everything you can. Speak to me after the race. I can show you an INI file that will take off that auto fuel calculator because it has been a thorn in my side for a few races before too. So we can definitely work on that one. So then the other thing is obviously tonight was all about the rim riding. It seemed like for most drivers they wanted to run that either the very top lane or the second to top lane. But then at times you saw the guys like Raphael, they would kind of wrap the bottom and they would make great time doing it. Did you try adjusting over the course of the run, seeing what the other guys were doing to see if you could make it work for you and it just didn't click? Or I mean, what were the thoughts on kind of just where to be on track with everything that was going on tonight?
Well, I thought I was one of the guys that was able to make the bottom work. I saw everybody else gravitating to the high side, and you get the run off the corner, and you have the draft down the straightaway, or the back straight especially, and that matters a lot. But once we got strung out there, I think the bottom line became very viable. I was able to make quite a few passes down there. Um, going through traffic and whatnot. And it ultimately, I think you went wherever the clean air was. Um, but you know, preferably I would try to use the entire track, and I just felt that was the faster line, even though it seemed like no matter what I could do, I could not catch up to Matt and them up there in first and second. They just ran away with it.
So talk to us about the pit stops, Chris, because we saw a lot of people make the pit entry, but then transition from the pit lane to the pit box, and we saw more than half the field, more than likely on either the first or second stop, Mr. Pit Box. Did that happen to you? And how costly is that if that were to happen in a situation where you're actually trying to rush through the pit cycle and catch back up to the guys you were battling with before?
Well, as you know, when you go into the pits, you try to focus on first get down to speed, and then next is getting into your box. And it was just a fast-paced race. The green flag the entire way certainly helped that. But at the same time, yes, I slid through my box on the first stop. I just came in too hot, slid right through. I was able to back up and not lose too much time. But I think that was the big difference there between the second pack I was in and the front pack. Um, I think I would have been somewhere in between. I don't know exactly where, but certainly didn't help matters. And so, yeah, I believe it. And yes, it's quite costly, as you see. If you miss your box, have to back up, and that takes 1 or 2 seconds to do. That's 1 or 2 seconds on track, and that can be an eternity on a track. So it could hurt you a lot.
One other question I have, I was scratching my head, and when you go back and watch the broadcast, you'll see I'm used to on these big tracks uh, thinking about how difficult it is to get to the two-stop scenario, get to lap 33 or 34. But we saw a couple people that went 36, 37 laps, and I'm wondering, did the hotter track conditions allow for more off-throttle time, or was it simply just fuel mix and trying to stay in some sort of draft that was able to get everybody to be on a two-stop scenario? Because I was sort of speculating during the first stint there that people were not going to make it due to the hot conditions and have to pit on laps, say 29, 30, 31. But I was shocked to see quite a few guys go the distance there. So was it difficult to do it, and how did exactly you find a way to save fuel?
Well, that's kind of cliche asking me since I ran out of gas on the last
Yeah.
lap. Uh,
Well, you did make it the 33 or
yeah,
34 necessary laps in the first stint. So
I would have been fine if I just would have filled up on that last pit stop. But regardless, other than that, I mean, yes, through the entire race, I was running it dry, and I was in fuel map one the entire time. But there was times
very
where
interesting.
there was times where I'd let the two guys in front of me just battle it out, and I would save a little fuel here and there. Um, the hotter track, though, you certainly lifted a lot more, um, especially in one and two, to get the car to rotate and not come up and hit that turn two wall. There was a magnet there after about 20, 25 laps, and your car just wanted to gravitate right to it.
Oh, we put a camera there during the broadcast just to watch how many cars would come up and smack that thing. So that
Yeah,
was another interesting aspect. There were several people in the race that found themselves that high.
yeah. 3 and 4 was different story. I felt you could really run anywhere you wanted down in 3 and 4, but yeah, 1 and 2, it certainly made a difference. You were lifting a lot, and so yeah, I could see the. So I saw that. I noticed that too. Some people saving an extra 3 or 4 laps, and I'm sure you dial it back to, fuel map 3 or 4 and just ride. I Yes, very easily, especially with everybody kind of in line on the high side. Um, I like these hot races. It makes it more difficult to pass for sure, but at the same time, as you see, it spreads the field out, adds for a lot of different strategy, and it's exciting in its own way, and yeah, it's kind of a chess match, so I like it.
Wow, that was an awesome job tonight, Chris. I already sent you the magic settings to avoid having to deal with the lack of the auto fueling, I guess I should say, because like I said, it's burned me before, and yeah, like I said, as soon as I learned I could change it, I was like, yep, that's going away. So yeah, hopefully that'll fix it for future ones, because like I said, I mean, you had really really good pace all night long. So definitely a well deserved finish. I say didn't quite, obviously. I mean, still got a top 7, not obviously the ideal, but you obviously want to get that podium. But I say you still get an interview, because let's say unfortunately we were able to snag Alan tonight. But yeah, great job tonight, and definitely though give you the floor for thanks and shouts for that run that you had this evening.
Well, shout out to 4D Racewear. Make sure to go to 4dracewear.com. You guys up here in the booth, thank you. Thank the wife. My teammates. Just everybody involved here. It's a lot of fun racing every week. I enjoy it a lot. Hopefully, everybody here does. I think Matt does a good job of listening to us, and trying to make this league fun and lighthearted at the same time, as it is serious.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like it. It's a lot of fun here.
I got to ask one question before we let you go, though, Chris. So you were sputtering towards the line, and you're thanking your teammates. You had a teammate that was pushing you to the line, and then suddenly the race winner was like, "Nah, I think I'm going to push you to the line." What was your thought in that moment? Was it like, "Okay, thanks for rubbing salt in the wound there"?
No, it wasn't. He was 9 seconds ahead of me, I think, at the end before I ran out of gas. So I wasn't catching him. He had the win in the bag. We were running Matt down. I know he was saving fuel. Um, Dan came up behind me and was like, "Well, I get in trouble for pushing you." And then he moved out of the way. Then the leader came up and pushed me, and uh, I would have made it. Yeah, it just would have took a little longer. I coasted that entire last lap.
Well, there was no caution, so we had plenty of time in the broadcast to watch you, kind of sputter your way across the start finish there. But
yeah, it's a little embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing, to be honest. But at the same time, we're all here to have fun. It was a fun race, and I'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll all put on a good show.
Yeah, great job though tonight. Like I said, the thing is, I mean, I don't think you can put any blame on yourself on that one, because like I said, I've done that in a race too, where I don't know, say it was Road America, where I was able to save a lap over everybody, and then same thing, the auto fuel's like, oh, great fuel saving, do it again. I was like, and it didn't fill me up, and I was so mad after that. So yeah, I feel your pain, bud.
I know what you're saying. That was my fault for not even looking at it. I didn't even pay attention to it. I was just so focused on coming in, hitting my marks, and getting back out there. And I didn't. I didn't realize I was out of fuel until it turned red, and I was like, oh my gosh, how'd that happen?" Because I was able to go 34 laps, you know, at full throttle, map one. So it didn't even dawn on me to try to save at all, any of that. I didn't look at it. It was the last thing on my mind, and ended up costing me a podium. But that's racing.
Yeah, can't win them all, but yeah, great job though tonight, Chris, and definitely look forward to seeing you on track here the rest of the season, man.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew. Well, 100 laps caution free tonight here at Auto Club. I would not have guessed it, like you said too. Just the way how difficult this track was. We had a couple really really close calls, but say he was able to stay clean and green to the end. And like I said, Raphael, he mentioned he liked the hot temperatures, and I mean it showed.
yeah, he put on a masterclass, like I mentioned before. It was something to be. If I were everybody else in this series, I would go back and watch that replay and see exactly how and what he did, because I was kind of even watching in marvel too, like how would I handle this situation. And I know with the hotter tracks, it's a lot harder to try and discipline yourself to drive a different way, but he managed to find a way to do it, and he kind of just rolled up in his first race tonight and managed to put everyone to shame. But let's also make sure we shout out Gary Lovern's top 5 tonight. That's his best finish of the season. He's had some bad luck earlier in the early races of the season, so shout out to Gary for a great finish as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, great job at Gary, and again, also Alan Moreira getting that podium tonight. Unfortunately, didn't get to interview him, but I say I feel like he's one of our really good long run drivers in this league. So I say I've noticed the longer the run goes, the further forward he winds up in these things. So yeah, great job by him as well. And yeah, I say again, as always, appreciate you hopping on these with me, Andrew. I know I say you've had real life kind of in your way a little bit. And I say we're going to have a little break, it looks like, after tonight, though, because we have an off week scheduled for next week's for the March 19th. I think it's roughly around St. Patrick's Day, but I'll say after that, though, we will finish it out from there to the end of the season. So we're going to have some quick tracks in there with Vegas and Texas, then the short oval of New Hampshire, and then, of course, got to finish at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So plenty of racing to go. And right now, after the point standings updated, it's actually pretty much sitting exactly the same with the drop week, with Bruno with about a 45 lead over Nick, 47 over Chris, and then it's growing ever more, unfortunately, from fourth on back. So I think right now looking likely like a 3-horse race to the end. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But yeah, as always, though, appreciate you, Andrew. Looking forward to doing some more with you when work permits for you. I know I don't pay as well as them, but I do what I can.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone I'll be missing the next race at Las Vegas, but I will be finishing out the rest of the season. So hopefully whoever takes my spot will be able to have a great time. But yeah, you guys will have me for the rest of the season. So I'm very excited to see how this 3-horse race pans out, and I'm excited to call the rest of the season accordingly, and hopefully with more of a voice than I had tonight.
Yes, definitely rest up, feel better. And yeah, everybody that's watching, thank you all so much for watching, for supporting your drivers, chowing in here on the chat. Definitely saw, like I said, Bruno, Muff, Seth, Leandro. Always good to see you guys rooting on your drivers. So we'll be back again on Thursday night. We'll be with the Xfinity cars, and I'm gonna hunt down, see where we're gonna be at over there, because we've got just about time to get to those playoffs over there as well. So once I click the right buttons, because I am a pro. Actually, we will be at Talladega next week for the regular season, or sorry, this week on the 14th, Talladega for the regular season finale. Then we kick off we have an off week. Then we kick off the 4-race playoff there. So yeah, it's about to happen. Getting somehow to playoff time already. Feels like we just started the season. So as always, thank you everybody for watching, supporting us here at Green White Checker TV, and we will see you in a couple nights time. Until then, take care, stay safe, have a good night.